A black Alabama pastor was recently arrested doing something nice for his neighbors. Now, apparently, this pastor was arrested for watering plants. Yes, watering plants while black. Now, he was doing this for a neighbor who was out of town who had given him express permission to take care of his house. So now Michael Jennings, a preacher at Vision of Abundant Life Ministries, was doing this favor after church services on a Sunday when another neighbor called the police to report a suspicious person. This is according to WIAT-TV. So now Jennings said, my neighbor goes out of town a lot and they wanted me to watch their house and keep their flowers watered. Super nice thing for him to do. Wonderful. Wonderful. However, when the police arrived, well, you can guess what happened. The Childersburg man said he explained who he was to the cops and what he was doing. Nonetheless, the police demanded his ID. Now, he wasn't in a car and he wasn't doing anything wrong. Why did you need to see his ID? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Now, Jennings said, quote, the officer said, give me some ID. And I said, no, I don't have to give no ID because there ain't no crime been committed. I said, but what I will do is I'll tell you I am Pastor Jennings and I live right across the street there. And I said, you can go ask my wife. He then, of course, continued watering the plants. However, as soon as a third officer, there are 3 cops now. Instead of 1 or 2 officers, now they're bringing a third. One was the one that just arrived was a sergeant. Jennings said that he got out of the car and he's already fired up. I'm telling them, you're making a mistake. This is wrong, what y'all are doing. The sergeant was very angered by this. This uppity black guy telling me what to do. And he said this, quote, shut up and listen. You talk too much. I said, you don't tell me to shut up, boy. I'm a grown man. I like that. I like that response. You going to jail. That's it, the sergeant said, according to Jennings. Lock him up. And that's exactly what happened. He was arrested and charged with obstructing governmental operation. What governmental operation was he obstructing? He was obstructing the police officer harassing him? Is that what? Because there wasn't a crime being committed. He was there with permission. And he was watering the plants. Again, okay, so look, what you may not understand if you're surprised by this, because, some people are, okay, is what this pastor did, according to police officers, he had committed the ultimate sin. And that's daring to disrespect a police officer as a black man. It is, for them, it is unforgivable. But by the way, I got to point out that nowhere in the law books can you be arrested and charged for talking back to a cop. There's no law there that says that you can't. Yes, you can be disrespectful to a cop. But see, it doesn't matter if you're black, because look, for one, cops are drunk on their power. I think a lot of them are. Not all of them, but I think a lot of them are. Okay? And they often do these things. And the reason that us white people like look like me, don't generally have these interactions with police is because they tend to take these things out and do these power moves, do these power trips against black people. And it's because they can, it's because they've gotten away with it. And look, if you think this is a new phenomenon, it's not. It's been happening for decades, probably a lot longer than that. Maybe, I don't know, since civil rights, even before. It's just now, these days, we're hearing about it. And we're seeing these things play out on video. Now, as for the neighbor's part, let me just say this. Don't call the cops. Okay? Just don't. Unless there's an actual crime that's going, that's taking place. Like you see somebody breaking windows and it's like, okay, it's time. Now it's time to call the cops. But you just see somebody there walking on the street or jogging, ain't no need to call the cops. Now, that neighbor said, and she had told police that she made a huge mistake and had begged them not to arrest him after recognizing him as a both friend and neighbor. How much of a friend and neighbor is that if you don't recognize this person? I mean, again, you look, like if you look at a black person and you only see a black person and think suspicious, how good of a friend are you? Honestly. And again, I'm not going to say that she's like outright Klan hood wearing racist, but I am saying that this is a great illustration of implicit bias. She might know him and think, no, that's my friend, that's my neighbor, that's the good pastor. But if you see somebody and you don't immediately recognize him and he's black, and the first thing you want to do is call the police, there is some implicit bias that is happening immediately. Now, she then, again, had attempted to say, no, this person, he's not suspicious. I know him. He's not doing any harm. But it was too late. It was too late. It's too late. Because, again, Jennings disrespected that police officer and his very, very paper-thin skin. This is what an abuse of power looks like. Now, Jennings was released, and he said this, quote, "Last I checked, watering roses ain't no crime. You see all the people, blacks being arrested for some of the most silly stuff, but being arrested for watering flowers, it was embarrassing. In the middle of the neighborhood with all the disrespect I got, being handcuffed and took off, neighbors down there was coming out their house." Again, here you have that situation where you can't do anything while black without being, again, arrested, accosted by police, and having your neighbors call the cops on you for being suspicious. Now, as far as the police are concerned, I don't think there's any kind of small reforms that are going to solve racism in policing. No. There's got to be some big shakeups here. For one, racist cops need to be fired. And most importantly, the culture needs to change in policing. There are different policy proposals, as far as making sure that cops are held accountable for some of these arrests. There's a lot more that you can do. But we ain't doing any of it. And that, I think, is the worst crime of all. We see this problem that's happening, and it ain't getting fixed.